Hey, what's up, Scott Balcom here with Imagination Creation Films, and this is a special private video. It may be public, so if you happen to run across it and you're interested in the deal, you might consider it. This is a Kessler CineShooter private deal, and it's pretty incredible. Kessler has never offered something like this before and may never again. And this video isn't about really what CineShooter can do. I have plenty of videos on that. This is about what you may want CineShooter to do for you and to try to help you understand all the various things to consider when you're considering the CineShooter itself. Now I'm gonna go through the basics of the system so you'll have an idea of what you need to know in order to order now, or say to build out an upgraded system in the future, or just to make the plan and plot it out for you to make the system perfect for your needs. Now, if at any point this video makes your eyes gloss over, I completely get it. There is a ton to it, and this was literally supposed to be a 5-minute video, and I think it's about 15 already, and I had to stop. But the good news is you'll be able to reach out directly to Kessler and their team, and they'll help you configure the system to exactly what you need, and you'll get the discount that's all part of the deal. So the main component of the Kessler motion control system is the CineShooter, and it is a pan and tilt axis. This currently has what they call an HD support bracket on there and the V-mount adapter. Just understand it comes with a standard L bracket and it's for standard use. It is a pan and tilt axis and the brains of, well, an extremely powerful, repeatable motion control system that can expand to an incredible amount of axis. Today, with the new Chaos launch 5.0 that just literally launched like moments ago, you can program the head with 20 keyframes and control it via Bluetooth with a PS4 controller. And with Chaos, CineShooter can support 15 axis. It's wild. You can also use the free CineShooter remote app on your iOS or Android phone, and that allows you a lot more flexibility in programming versus just the 20 keyframes that are built into the head itself. You get, with the iOS app, you get a little more flexibility on the type of curves that you're gonna do, keyframing, kind of event style mode, and more. And for the ultimate control, you may want to use Kessler Chaos, which is their full premium software package that allows you to have literally finite control over every single curve, keyframe. You can control DMX, a live event mode, access up to the 15 axis, and so much more. And that is available, the premium, as a perpetual license or an available subscription. And there's also a free version of Chaos that allows you to run up to 3 keyframes per axis. You can still do the 15 axis, but you only get 3 keyframes per axis. So you can weigh that out. It's not horribly expensive, but just understand that is a cost should you want the premium. There is a 30-day trial on the premium as well. The bottom of CineShooter, it has this is basically it, except minus the screw, an Arca Swiss plate and a 3/8 threaded hole. So if you're just going to mount it directly to a tripod, then you'll either need an Arca Swiss receiver like the Kessler quick receiver right here. It's kind of incredible, and honestly, if you do go down this road, number one, you won't be sorry, and number two, don't buy just one. Go ahead and start buying a couple, because they're kind of an addiction. I have 8 of them, and I literally use them everywhere. Everything has a quick connector on it. Every Every red, everything has a quick stand. Like this is their large quick stand. And it just literally goes in, locks in, and now you can have an adjustment forward and backwards. And that's the big deal to think about is you can run a camera directly right on the standard L bracket. But you won't be able to slide it forward and backward. You could do it with a Manfrotto. You would just need to attach it to the L bracket. But it's not as configurable as, say, like the Arca Swiss, which slides, and I'm not editing this video, this is gonna be a one-shot deal, but it slides in and out, but it also locks. So there's an advantage to that, and why I really, really like these. So much to talk about. But quick release is great. You could use a Manfrotto, put it on there, et cetera, et cetera. The power for this, it includes a power adapter, which goes into the side, which is a 12-volt barrel connector. There's a 2-pin LEMO adapter, and you can add in an optional V-mount or gold mount plate. This is the V-mount, obviously. Now, CineShooter is available in a standard or a macro configuration. Now, the standard can move really, really fast at full load. And it's good for more close-up and for most macro uses. The macro head is 4 times slower, but it has 4 times the resolution and 4 times the torque. So it allows you to get up extremely close up and subtly move like very few can. Like Chris Fields, literally with a probe, looking at a button mushroom, and he's just going around it. That is extremely high resolution. Now, for general use, like interview shots, etc., either head's gonna perform fine. The main difference will be the macro is going to be a little bit louder when running at full speed versus the standard. Both offer abilities in the head, like time-lapse, and with the app, the free app, you can do stop motion as well. You can do gigapixel and multi-lapse. Now, some of the features, I think gigapixel is in Chaos, but you can use the free version of Chaos for that. And some will require the CineShooter remote app, which is free. The head will give you pan and tilt. So this is the pan axis right here, and the tilt is right here. This L bracket, if you just imagine it sitting sideways like this. This is the HD optional support bracket, and this is the roll axis on the back. I just wanted to show it in that configuration so it's already built. With just the L, the CineShooter can support 15 pounds. It's no problem at all. And it is a full nodal head, so you can adjust it forward, backwards, up, and down. With the optional HD bracket, then CineShooter can support 25 pounds. On macro, which is this one, it can handle 50 pounds with the HD support bracket. It's still 15 with the standard L. It is an extremely hefty payload, and it's designed for rather large, cinema camera rigs with really large cinema lenses. There are an additional 3 ports right here on the CineShooter, allow you to add other axes as you desire. You don't have to buy anything else other than the axis, but they're already built in here, so the motors. There's a ton of options to consider. I'm gonna try to list off the main ones. You may want, say, focus, but you might want iris and zoom as well. So you could do fizz motors. Kessler sells them, and you can add them on to that. You may want a slider or a dolly. If you're gonna do like an interview setup, you're gonna want some type of slider or dolly. You might want a turntable to rotate products while this is over here looking around it. You may want the roll axis. There's even DIY motors, the power block, so you can motorize kind of whatever you want and control it all within the head, the remote app, or for larger than 8-axis, you'll need to go to Chaos. The head can control, and CineShooter Remote can control 8-axis directly. On here, you would just basically double-click the shift, and that'll take you to each pair of axis until you go back around. It's a little slower to go through 8-axis on the head, but you can do it in head with 20 keyframes. So then, if you already have, say, a Kessler slider or Dolly, and you want to add motion, all you're going to need for this is the appropriate motor mount and find or select a motor from Kessler. And there's quite a few, and I'll try to explain them in a minute. If you don't already have a slider or a Dolly, Kessler makes the Cine slider in a 2-foot, 3-foot, and 5-foot length. And it's a more compact but very rigid slider. They also make the shuttle Dolly, which is, well, it's a full-on wide Dolly, capable of carrying 125 pounds. And that's honestly the heart of my Frankenrig builds that some of you have seen. And honestly, the shuttle Dolly just keeps delivering. I've had it, gosh, how long have I had it? 6 years? When it first came out, I was one of the first 100 to get it. It is truly a workhorse. It can run on standard speed rail, or Kessler has their own quick rails that are designed to screw together. Those also, if you're doing the shuttle Dolly, those quick rails from Kessler can be used with some leg mounts that they make so that you can use all the same parts to build a large Dolly setup that can be at angles or, kind of have like a Rocky Mountain leg to them. It can get expensive with all those quick rails, but if you're traveling, that's the way to go because you have perfect rails all ready to go and you can just set up and go. Cine Slider and Shuttle Dolly can be configured both for underslung mode. There's a fly. I'm gonna get it. And you will need some optional mounting gear for your desired operation of that. For instance, you can use Shuttle Dolly on Apple boxes, like a lot of people do with their Dana Dollies, but it's most secure on heavy-duty slider stands or combo stands. In order to do that, you'll want to add the junior pin adapters. It's not horribly expensive. They're actually kind of affordable, but you screw those into the bottom and then you can securely mount them to solid stands. In a pinch, you could mount on some tripods, but understand, every weak spot that you introduce into the system can translate to a vibration that can occur in your shot, and it can compound. So I always tell people, don't be cheap when it comes to securing your rig. Get it solid. And we're not talking tripod solid. Solid. Get it solid. It's better to plan ahead and, secure your Dolly or slider properly. If you own a Dana Dolly, there is a motor kit available for it, but do understand, the Dana Dolly was not designed for motion control. It was designed for human manual operation. And as such, it can be a little bit loose and will not track 100%. This is going to affect repeatability. Now, because of this, I would not recommend using the Dana Dolly if your intention is VFX work for repeated past moves. If you're just going to use it for interview shots, not a problem. But if you need to run it twice and stack those shots, you're going to run into issues. And it has nothing to do with the Kessler system. It's just the way the Dana Dolly was designed. It's using skateboard wheels and it's designed to be sloppy because we humans, when we're manually moving our hands, we're sloppy. So yeah, you'll need a way to mount the CineShooter to the slider or Dolly. So this is again the bottom of the CineShooter when it's currently on the quick receiver. So on the shuttle Dolly, you would want to add the cheese plate. On the CineShooter or the Cine slider, it already has some threads in there, so you could add a 3/8 flat mount adapter and screw into the bottom, or you could use a quick receiver right onto the cheese plate. Or if you configure your Dolly, say you want to use it both manual and in an automatic fashion, or in a motion control fashion, then configure your Dolly with a 100 millimeter bowl. And then you could use a half mount bowl adapter and screw in and go straight in. Motors, they come in a wide variety of speeds. For the most part, they just list 3, which is high speed, average, and high torque. There are many, many levels in between. So don't feel like you'll be boxed in by one or the other. You can compromise. The thing to note is the faster the motor, the quieter it is at the same performance speed of a slower motor. So if you're got a fast motor and you're just going to go like this across with a Dolly, if you run a high torque motor, it can do this move this fast, but it's going to be making a lot more noise. It's going to be noticeable. You wouldn't want to run that fast because you're spinning that motor at like 10,000 RPMs as opposed to 2,000 RPMs. So you want to kind of balance that out. The drawback of the faster motor is it has less torque to move the load. So you want to take into consideration that and understand that you don't just push a button and say, go here with a complicated load with multi-axis and think that it's going to perform that perfectly. The reason it's not is inertia. So you're going to need to add some curves and ramps. They're really your friend in making everything run smooth. Believe me, everybody does this. Everybody. Robots are using curves. They cannot move without a curve or they'll wiggle. And I can't tell you how many robot shots have been ruined by trying to get it to go a little bit faster and removing a little bit of the curve. So remember, inertia is real and you'll need to compensate to make sure everything runs smooth. Now, if you take a moment to learn the system, you'll quickly learn how easy it is to adjust to these conditions. If you get a wiggle, look at where the wiggle started. So run your move and you instantly see a wiggle, boom, don't look any further. Find out what just moved. So that first little section, it was the Dolly, it moved. Okay, the Dolly moved and it created a wiggle. So I probably sent it too fast at first. It can go full speed, but you want to build it up. So you want to kind of thing instead of a kind of thing. That was horrible sound effects, but you get to enjoy those. So you add a little bit of a ramp to it, and then magically, it starts to smooth right on out. Now, CineShooter is also compatible with Dragonframe for stop motion or live motion. A lot of people are using it for Dragonframe now, and Dragonframe, you can do something like 30 axis on it right now. I believe it's 8 controllers you can add in. It's a lot, but it's primarily designed for stop motion. The live motion, they're working on it and they're getting better, but it's not quite to the level of Chaos for live motion. So if you're doing stop motion and you're already using Dragonframe, boom, you can just inject this right in. If not, Chaos has stop motion in there if you're going to do that. And Chaos is designed much better for looping back and forth, et cetera, et cetera. Another configuration option you can do is Scarhoy. So if you have like a church or a big event center or anything like that where you have a lot of integration, a lot of Scarhoy, Kessler CineShooter will integrate into Scarhoy. There really is so much to the system and what it can be built to do. It's hard to list it all. CineShooter is the basic building block by which all the other abilities can be added to. Getting it at such a low price is honestly unheard of, and it has taken a lot of work to make happen. I have been trying for a long time just to see if we could just push some out there and just see what would happen. And we got it. But there is a limit of only 20 heads that'll be available. And they're likely to go very quickly at this price, which I am not going to list here. But it has never been offered cheaper, and it's substantially cheaper. It's a one-time deal for the CineShooter head, and then there is a secondary discount for your cart, except the CineShooter, that you can add more accessories. All of that will be listed in the links down below. It's the Red Komodo X Red Komodo users group and Red DSMC3 V-Raptor users group on Facebook is the ones putting this together. So if you've ever thought about adding motion control to your abilities, this is truly worth your time at looking at it. I didn't want to go too far. That's a lot. But if there is an issue and you don't quite fully grasp everything that we talked about, you'll be able to reach out to support over at Kessler at support@kesslercrane.com. And they will, through phone, through email, however, will absolutely get you set up for the right things. So that is it. This is not one of my normal videos. This is just for this, but it'll probably be posted anyway for your enjoyment. So as always, as I like to leave it, don't let your passions center around your life. Let your life center around your passions.